Hi guys, Dogray here with a new video, and this video will be the top 5 I would suggest to play in TBC Classic Anniversary when it comes down to PvP, and I'm talking PvP as a whole, so we're talking about arenas, BGs, and even open world PvP. I have made 2 tier lists really recently about BGs and open world PvP because that's like 2 subjects that nobody really talks about. And we are currently on War Main to showcase the classes that I have to propose to you guys. But obviously, those are my takes, it's my opinions. If you like blue, you like blue. If you like green, you like green. So obviously we can differ about that, but I'm going to give you a bit of an argument behind every single choice you can make come to TBC Classic Anniversary. Now, you can still level up your character to level 60 and wait for TBC, or you can probably boost to 58 like they did previous time. That's probably also an option. Or you are going to level a Blood Elf or Draenei or whatever. That's probably the best time to do when it's pre-patch, because I think it will be a 4 weeks pre-patch. Could be fun to level a character with new talents, maybe new abilities here and there. Could be fun. Now, new abilities, not really too many, but anyways, you got the cheers. But we're going to talk about everything come PvP and which class you could play. I'm going to talk about spec specifically. Obviously, if I say priest, I'm going to say which spec I would suggest you guys to play in TBC. Now, big disclaimer, I am a fan of like classes that could do a bit of everything by themselves or in twos or in threes, and not really like, I would say, assisted, and you have to be very assisted to have fun with. So I could say you should play warrior, and that's a honorable mention. Let's say already it's a honorable mention. I don't want to put it in the top 5 because warrior, you cannot really play double DPS. You could maybe find a carry, like a good carry rogue, and it's very difficult still. But even then, like it's literally boosting at that point. You really need a healer. If you don't know any healer friends, or you're not really very socially like active to find like a healer friend, it could take like a lot of energy from you. And I think in BGs you're not going to have that much fun, especially if you don't have a bit like a healer behind you. And I think like that rule 3, like again, you can have a wreck moment, that's good, but that's not like every single moment. And yes, you can make like the best PvP montage video as a warrior, but you truly know that those videos are often with a healer behind you, or like with full CDs and full like buffs and full like flask and anything. So an open world PvP, you're most likely going to be open target dummy. Obviously, you will have some moments where you're going to be good. Yeah, I think the later seasons, warriors get a bit more tanky, where it gets a bit better, but still, it is a challenge, especially in 1v1s. So that's a honorable mention. Play warrior if you have a friend or whatnot. But I'm not going to suggest in the top 5 warrior, and you should not be surprised of me saying like that there will be no warrior, because I already said I value solo play a lot. I value the viability in a double DPS comp. I value BG play where I'm going to have fun playing BGs, not like grinding honor because I have to, but more like grinding BGs because I really love to. That's something I can do with like other classes. And same for open world PvP and arenas and whatnot. So my first class that I would suggest, it's a top 5, but I'm not going to say that one is the top one, the other one is top 5. I think it depends on what you want to play. But the first one I would suggest to play is, without any concessions, I think Disc Priest. Disc Priest is a really fun DPS healer spec, excuse me, that you could also DPS with. Let me explain. You have reflective shields, you have obviously your mana burn, it plays very actively. Prey of Mending is super fun, and it being jumping on you and your ally every single time you're taking like AoE damage, it full heals nearly like every single time, so it's very fun as well. It's also fun to be able to dispel your enemies and dispel your friends when it comes down to like magic effects, for example. So that's also cool. It's also quite nice that Fear Ward will not be an issue for anyone. And you have some racials that are a bit more fun than others. For example, I play Dwarf on Classic Anniversary, and in TBC they get a root which is Chastise. It's a low range root though, and it is like holy, if I'm not mistaken. It is holy, and it will take out of shadow form. But if you're disc priest, that's a cool ability to use, especially when it comes down to kiting. And in general, you are going to be very desired if it comes down to PvP, especially like when it comes down to 2s or 3s. And you're going to be having a lot of fun in BGs as well, because you're like very versatile. You can still 1v1 someone, you can still like survive a lot of the damage. And yes, it's hard to survive as a healer in TBC when it comes down to kiting and being able to survive. You need pillars for that. You're not going to 1v2 the whole time. That's not possible. You're going to get But I think it's like a fun dynamic where you are rewarded for being offensive compared to playing like laid back, like let's say like I think Holy Paladin could do in PvP, like PvP. They kind of are laid back compared to that. Like a priest with mana burn is like a offensive tool that is really rivaling a lot of the DPS specs in the game. And healing wise, it's like top 2 with Resto Druid, so it's definitely a very good choice. Would be probably better if you're facing like alliance teams where your fear is not going to be Will of the Forsaken, but it's okay to be a human, for example, for the anti-stealth perception. And obviously you can also go dwarf like me, and you have chastise, so that's a good thing. So that's also an interesting thing. You're very desired as well, like priest. You will never have an issue with like dungeons, for example. Open world, if someone like opens onto you, you're going to be fine most of the time. So it's cool. And you can also go shadow, which is still okay. And later seasons, it's okay actually in PvP, because you survive a bit better. Like I think in season 1, since the resilience is very low, you have a tough time surviving a lot of the comps. The damage is higher, of course, the higher the season goes. But in season 1, I think, like personally, that's how I felt on War Main, is that you're very squishy and you need to really push like higher resilience levels to be like competitive. And you can play double DPS as a shadow, so that's also a good thing. The other one I'm going to suggest is, I think, Rogue. If you want to have a lot of fun, I think Rogue, you cannot go wrong. It is a meta spec. People are going to cry in the comments that I suggested a spec or a class that is like obviously like played a lot on a PvP server, but also it will be overpopulated in arenas. It just is what it is. It is one of the best specs classes in the game that comes down to arenas. In 2s, you can play with a disc priest, with a resto druid. You can play with nearly any DPS spec class. You can play Rogue Mage, you can play Rogue, you can play Rogue Retribution Paladin, you can play Rogue with a caster. You can even play Rogue Balance Druid, and that might be like working out for the Balance Druid because of the CC that can provide, and the slow with like crippling poison and whatnot. You can like do a lot of stuff with that. You can play Rogue Feral Druid, you can play Rogue Hunter, although Rogue Hunter is not like that great, because Hunter is more of a dampening, like not really dampening because it doesn't really exist in TBC, but like it is like draining, like a drain comp. Like Hunter really likes to drain and to win with like Viper Sting, for example, versus Priest comps, for example, versus Druids is a bit more complicated. But yeah, that's it. I think Rogue is such a versatile class, especially comes down in open world PvP. You're going to have a blast. In BGs, you're going to have a blast, especially like if you're defending or if you're like offensive. It depends on your like play style. You can play like mid fights, taking the squishies, or like being very annoying. You could also like just play defense and like try to like get the flag back as ASAP, obviously. Or you go into offense and you are able to like be a literal poison to the healer that is healing the EFC. So I think it's a fantastic class, and myself, I might boost one or level one. I just like need to have time for that. Like basically right now I'm having a tough time to find time, and also like to play Warmain when I'm having time. So it's a great class, and I would recommend for sure to play one. The next one I'm going to just suggest, and it is no surprise, I think, like purely Mage is one of the classes that you will be able to have fun very easily when it comes down to PvP. You can have fun in BGs even as a fire mage, as an arcane mage, like I said in the PG tier list video, or if you're like in arenas, you can have a lot of fun playing frost mage and have like a domination playstyle where you're playing with a healer or you're playing with a DPS. You are like pairing up with a lot of classes that are quite good. Now, Feral Druid Mage is not like fantastic, but it is playable. You can play also Mage Warlock. You can also play Mage Shadow Priest, which I have played with my friend. It was quite fun, although we kind of like have to survive a bit better, and it will be more fun as well for that. But it was like fun to be able to win games in a fast fashion, and that's like something I really appreciate. You can also play Mage Retribution Paladin. You can also play even Mage Hunter and like try to blast someone from the get-go. That's possible to do, by the way. And you can also play Rogue Mage, obviously, which is like a fan favorite, and I think the most played comp that you can play. You can also play Double Mage. Double Mage is also like quite interesting. It's not like super meta. It's not like Wrath of the Lich King kind of levels, but it's like okay, and you can do well with it. If you're like a very good mage and you're playing with a very good mage, you can actually have fun with that. So yeah, Mage in the top 5 as well. We have already 3 classes discussed, and I think there's like no surprises. Now comes a bit of a surprise. I suggest you guys to play Feral Druid, and I have been playing Feral Druid a lot on Warming because I am a Druid right now on Classic Anniversary. I have a level 60 Druid, I have a level 60 Warrior, I have a level 60 Priest. The Druid is the one where I'm like question marking myself. Do I want to play a class and again feel like I have to heal, or I have to flag carry, or I have to... So I was like asking myself, like, am I doing the right thing? Do I want to play Feral Druid? Do I want to take the risk of maybe having to reroll? And Feral Druid is like a big surprise. Like, I am having a blast. I think the more you play Feral Druid as a spec, the more fun you will have because you become better, but also you understand like the small things. For example, weapon swapping when it comes down to self-healing yourself. You can like go behind the pillar, like weapon swap into a staff, for example, or you take a one-hander healing mace with a one-hander with an offhand healing tome, for example, and you do triple life bloom into rejuve, and you go back to your two-hander, like agility weapon or strength weapon or whatever weapon you have, and you're back at it, and you are going to have a lot of damage available to you and do very well because you have like a lot of self heals on you. It's one of the best, if not the best, off heal capable hybrid in the game, with I think Shadow Priest, which is also decent with Prayer of Mending if you're like getting cleaved. That's also a lot of healing, but it uses a lot of mana. Feral Druid doesn't have that issue in my opinion. You still have Innervate if you want to, and again, if you power shift, that's maybe another problem with like mana, but if it's just purely off heals and trying to survive, it feels like you are able to do so as a Feral Druid, and being bear form makes you very tanky, and if you dislike rogues, Feral Druid are actually quite good versus Feral Druid, versus sub rogues, for example, because you're able to bleed. They cannot cloak it off. Obviously, they have to cloak if you are fairy firing them, so they are like losing like a lot of the value of being a sub rogue. You're quite mobile. Poison is never a real problem because you can either just like power shift or shape shift, or you can also cancel form, or you can, for example, also put a poison cleanse on you, which is ticking, which is again helping you being a bit more like mobile. I think the CC is also improved from Classic to TBC because you have Maim, you have your Cyclone, you have Bear Charge, which is an interrupt. You have many things that are like really good for you, and it only becomes better. The only thing that is really annoying is the fact that you don't really have like the energy ticks are really slow. That's something that TBC has, which I think in Wrath is not like a continuously energy like regen, if I'm not mistaken. And TBC is like ticks, like in Classic, which is annoying to deal with, but it is still like something you can work on and like get better with it. One also good thing about Druid when it comes down to Feral is that you can always go Resto Druid if you want to heal, or go Balance Druid if you want to be playing Caster if you want to. Because like Balance Druid is for me a hidden spec. Like I think a lot of people don't realize how much fun you can have as a Balance Druid. In arenas, you are going to be the target, but you can play like comps where you can like breathe a bit. So for example, Balance Druid with like say a Frost Mage, you can play Balance Druid with a Elemental Shaman even. Both are going to have to cost a lot, so they're going to have to choose a player to train. Normally train the Balance Druid because they have Cyclone, so you want to not be able to Cyclone. So you need to have a good healer behind you. You could also play my favorite comp when it comes down to threes, Balance Druid with a Rogue Mage, with a Rogue, excuse me. I was saying Rogue Mage with just Rogue. So obviously Balance Druid with a Rogue with, let's say, a Holy Paladin behind them, or a Disc Priest, or a Resto Druid even. And they breathe a bit more, and they breathe a bit well, and they can actually deal damage. Obviously you need to cost a bit, but even then, like your Moonfires, if you crit, you get like a haste buff on you for the next cast. Which is going to help you to get like that Wrath off or that Starfire off. You have your Cyclones, you have your Entangling Roots, you're able to also be a bit more mobile with Travel Form. Like in general, Druid is such a good class to choose when it comes down to TBC, because it becomes finally a class that is a bit more complete in what it does. And in Wrath, it becomes even better. Like Balance Druid becomes really Balance Druid. Feral Druid becomes like really that one Feral Druid that is going to deal a lot of damage in general in PvP, being able to do instant cyclones and whatnot. And Rest of the Druid becomes like really a bit less interesting, because it is like a bit of a nerfed version when it comes down to Wrath. Like from TBC to Wrath, for me it is a nerfed version. Actually, that's still a nerfed version in my opinion. Like it's not really the class that you would know from Miss Pandaria onwards. That's for sure. But in TBC, like it is like a really powerful class that you can actually carry with. I think a Resto Druid carries really well. I think Feral Druid can carry very well as well, but they just lack the Moral Strike effect. You could play, like in threes, I have played a lot of comps because I'm thankful for solo queue in Warmane. I wish there was also the same thing for like TBC Classic Anniversary, but it's not going to happen. If it would happen, then it becomes like literally the only version I'm going to play ever, but it's not going to happen. Feral Druid, you can play with a warrior even, and then it becomes really interesting, because then you have a more strike effect. You have a cyclone, which is possible to do. You are not going to be like destroyed by mages that are polymorphing you. They're going to try to polymorph the warrior and whatnot. And then if you play with like a disc priest, you will have at least something to deal with that. And I think like in general that's a good comp as well. You can play also just like jungle, which is also quite fun. You can also play like a Feral Druid with a caster, that is also quite interesting as well. And in twos, like I said, the same for Rogue. You can play with nearly everything because you have you have stealth. Your opener is not that bad. I think the opener is probably where you are the most deadliest, in my opinion. You could also play a bit more of a like bleeding game, where you're trying to win over time. You can actually, with Innervate, you can really come back pretty hard. Just are like not really good versus like these spell comps, because they can always dispel the Innervate, but that's like something you have to deal with. I think it's like one of the versatile classes that I would suggest to play when it comes down to TBC. So that we already have top 4 classes, and now I want to say a 5th one, and that's like maybe a bit of a risk, because it's not for everyone. I really like Hunter. Like I would say Shaman and Paladin are not bad. Warlock, everyone is going to play because of PvE. It's also a very fun like class to play, don't get me wrong, but I think it's not for everyone. I think Warlock is not for everyone. I think Paladin is not for everyone. I think Shaman is definitely not for everyone because of the amount of keybinds you have, the DCC that you don't have. I think it's like a class that is really a support. And when it comes down to PvP, like twos don't really have too many good comps. In threes you have some good comps, but it's still like Shaman, and it really comes online, at least in Enhancement Shaman and Elemental Shaman in Wrath of the Lich King. In TBC, it's still like, it's better than Classic, for sure. But like I feel like every single class gets better, and you are like just the Bloodlust machine. But I guess, again, I'm saying that there is also a world where I'm boosting a Shaman or leveling one. But yeah, I think maybe Draenei makes me like don't like I'm playing Alliance and I don't like Draenei as a whole, so maybe that's why I'm like I have a distorted view about Shaman. But Warlock is really great in twos, for example. Multiple comps you can play in threes as well. It's also very fun, and you're very sturdy. And overall, you have three or four, even if you're thinking every single spec. That is very interesting to play in PvP. In general, in PvE, you can also do some like you can play Affliction or you can play a Destruction Warlock. I think overall PvE is quite boring because it's like a one or two button spec class, while in PvP it's one of the most demanding class in the game. But Hunter is something you can have fun like stupidly in BGs. You can play and be trying to turret and like line stuff and then come back and then aim shot and like again that does a lot of damage. Like you are like really powerful. In season 1 Beastmaster is going to overtake the ladder. They're going to take also BGs. They're going to take the open world. Like someone is going to press Beast or Wrath and you will not know what to do versus that. I think it's also one of the classes that you can have so much fun just basically grinding BGs. Open world PvP, if you're like grinding some herbs or grinding some mining or whatever, you are very deadly in a 1v1. You have CC for days. You have some survivability. You're still a male class as well. I really enjoy Hunter, and also you have so many specs that you can play in like test and with dual spec that could be very fun. And you are very demanded also in raids like. Survival Hunter is needed. A BM Hunter it will be needed, and sometimes you're going to run 3 hunters. Sometimes they will even run 4 hunters. You're going to have a spot, and not everyone wants to play Hunter because obviously in PvP it's not easy. People think like Hunter is easy, but no. You need to play around your Vipers. You need to kite very well. You need to use your pet very well. You need to know when to CC, know when to deal damage. You need to know when to kite, you need to know when to line, you need to know when to survive. Like that's so many things that you are like I think in Wrath becomes a bit better, a bit easier, especially like you get pets that are like doing so much. What was it in Wrath where like you have your apes doing stunts, or was it in Cataclysm? But you have your crabs where it's roots, like those things you don't have in TBC. You have great pets that do damage, but you don't have the utility that you have as in Wrath, with the pet talents and whatnot. Like here, you don't have that. But Hunter is like dumb fun, and I will be leveling one. I'm thinking it's pretty confirmed, because I really enjoy Hunter. And the previous time around I didn't play Hunter, I played Druid a bit. Then I stopped TBC. So TBC I didn't play too much in 2021. And now I regret because I really enjoy TBC. Like I'm playing a lot of Warmane. I think Project Epoch, since I have played that, opened my eyes towards the talent trees and how it was and the balancing and how good it can be with TBC talent trees in Classic. And now TBC will come out and I think I'm going to enjoy my time. I'm going to be laid back, playing and enjoying. And that's something I will do and that's something I want to do and I'm enjoying to do. So to recap, top 5 class/specs I would recommend to play in TBC Classic Anniversary. First, the Disc Priest, the one and only, the best healer, if not the second best, if it comes down to Resto Druid versus Disc Priest, depending on the comp that you play, or depending on the playstyle that you're playing. Feral Druid, one of the best specs to have fun, like solo, to be able to play 2s with a DPS, to be playing 3s with multiple comps, to be able to have fun because you have so much to prove. Since Classic, TBC, Druid is not peak, but very close to peak. Just a few changes and it would be destroying everything. You have obviously your Rogue, the best solo class ever. You are going to have insane fun, dumb fun, easy fun as a sub rogue. You could even play Assassination Rogue if you want to. It's a bit like niche and it's not that good, but damage wise, it is pumping. Like Envenom does a lot of damage because it goes through armor, and armor really is annoying, and you will need armor pen. But at the start, like armor pen is not easy to come by, and Assassination Rogue in season 1 can be fun, but the sub rogue is king if you want to have fun. Then obviously you have your hunter, very good class overall. Everyone knows that it's a very good class to have fun with, and in general, I think it's easy fun. I think it's like the barrier to entry is very low. To be a master, it takes something, but the barrier of entry is very low, and you can play BM Hunter, and it's like probably the easiest spec you can play in the game. But if you want to be taking it to a next level, you need to step away from Hunter, so from BM, and go MM and try to play the drain life, the drain mana comps that you can play, like just in general. You can play Hunter with Disc Priest, you can play Hunter with a Resto Druid, you can even play Hunter with a DPS, and then it becomes a bit more like straightforward. It could be also very fun to do. Then you have your Mage, which I think like is it the hero class of TBC? I think Rogue is really a hero class when it comes down to pure PvP in TBC, but Mage comes like a close second, and I think once you are like Season 4, although Season 4 is not the most like interesting season in the world, and most people are already left or waiting for Wrath. Season 4 Mage is like disgusting how much damage it can do, and like it really is hard to survive versus a Mage. And you can play tanky, you can play a bit more glass cannon when it comes down to PvE pieces, for example. But overall, Frost Mage, insane. You can play Pompyro, you can play even Arcane Mage in PGs to just change the monotony. You can play Fire Mage to also have like a bit of a change of monotony. You can maybe do a combo of both specs, Frost and Fire Mage, so you can have both of like best of both worlds. Although to be fair, I think Ice Barrier is so good. I think Water Elemental is also so good. So it's very hard to combine something like that. But in general, I think Mage you can have fun very easily as well. And then honorable mention would be Warrior, where you will need a friend. If you do have a friend, it can be very fun. If you don't have a friend, it becomes like more of a class that you should maybe like step away for a bit. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.